gentlemen, here it is. The most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any materials produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present Girls vs. Ghosts, The Realm Walker with Kelly McCarville, live, only on Spreaker. And as always, join us in our live interactive chat by going to Spreaker.com or downloading the Spreaker app for your devices. Kelly is a respected paranormal investigator and also a very gifted medium and brings a unique perspective into the paranormal field. Be sure to follow Kelly on all her social media at Facebook, Kelly McCarville Moonspinner, Instagram and Twitter at Moonspinner76, and on the web at mysticalmoonspinner.com. Here's your host, Kelly McCarville.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday evening. You're listening to The Realm Walker, and I am Kelly McCarville Moonspinner. Thanks for joining me. Happy to see you guys back on my every other Wednesday show now. Tonight, my guest is Fred Scheidenberger of Spirit Recon. How you doing tonight, Fred?
I'm well. How are you, Kelly?
I'm doing good. Trying to stay warm and stay out of the cold and all that fun stuff.
I hope you're doing better than I am. I hate this cold.
I shouldn't be complaining considering we've had a pretty easy-going winter so far, but I'm so over winter already. Just ridiculously over winter already. So
I agree.
Anyhow. Sorry, I'm still distracted because I'm still trying to post. I was slow. So, I met Fred, let's see. We started talking online probably, I don't know, about a year ago-ish, somewhere around there, but I got the pleasure of actually meeting him in person at the Haunted Road Media Paracon last June, and we became fast friends, and so finally got around to getting him scheduled for the show and wanted to bring him on and just kind of introduce everybody to him. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about Spirit Recon?
All right, sure. Thanks, Kelly. Really, I'm just your average everyday guy, and I think that's the whole key to Spirit Recon and what makes us. It's not that we're believable or it makes it. We're real down to earth, and because we are normal everyday people, and that we sat out on a journey, and the journey kind of unfolded in front of us, not knowing what was gonna, how this was gonna play out. No idea actually that it would be something like this. So. Whether you believe in things in past like that or not, it definitely unfolded in front of us, and it's been a great path.
Now, when you...
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, when you say us, did it start with you and Jake then?
Yeah, and us is, I guess I'm a team player, so I say us because there's been a lot of people that have helped me throughout my journey. Is it really my vision and my focus? Yes, it's a lot of that. But others have been there for me, whether it be Jake, my investigation partner. I've got a research partner, John Persick, who is also on city council here in town, which allows me some benefits on getting in some buildings. To my new teammate, Jen Ritter, who's been very helpful on some stuff. So I mean us as far as everybody that's accompanied me, even the people that follow us every day and just like our comment, like our posts and stuff.
Okay, awesome. It's funny because I was thinking about this as I was preparing for the show tonight. We've talked a lot, and I don't know that I've ever really asked you, how did you ever get into the paranormal in the first place?
Well, that leads us to, who part of what Spirit Recon is. And basically, I had a family member or loved one that unfortunately he passed away from cancer. And I was a friend of his. He was a friend of mine. Not only were we family members, but we were friends. And I took care of him for about 12 hours a day for about a year. And it took a lot out of me. It changed me. And I wanted to do something different. I knew I was going to have some troubles when he left this earth, and I didn't know what I was going to do with myself, so to speak. And I really wanted to find a different hobby or a different focus to exude some of that energy, because I knew I was in trouble mentally if I didn't. So that got me interested in the hobby. I'd already loved the field. I loved ghost hunters. I was a huge Paranormal State fan. So I already had that kind of background. I was able to get out and do some stuff, and that led to my crazy first adventure. And then I happened to be in one of the little haunted towns in America, so that doesn't hurt things for me.
In that haunted little town?
Wilmington, Illinois. We're just south of Chicago. On the old Route 66, the original Route 66. One of the first stops as you leave. It's the first stop then after you leave Joliet, Illinois. So
you've told me, I know you've talked to me quite a bit about one of the locations you go to, and specifically one of the spirits that you interact with quite a bit. What are some of the haunted locations or some of the investigations that you've done there?
My research down in the town actually started in the downtown. Our town's only 5,000 people, so we've only got a couple downtown main streets, so to speak. They're only a few blocks long, so it's nothing real huge. But it's right there on the river. It's a lot of old buildings. The Eagle Hotel actually is one of them. Dates back to 1837 or 6 or 1838, depending on what you read. But that would make it the first hotel, so to speak, on Route 66. So this area, because of the rivers, the Kankakee River joins the Illinois River. Somebody's going to tell me that's wrong because it's the display. Whatever. Yeah, again, I'm not from this area. I came here about 10 years ago, but it's actually the Des Plaines, I think, and then they both go into the Illinois. But you've got the joining of rivers. So this was one of the first, this area was settled even when Chicago wasn't a real big town yet. Chicago was just a little encampment when this town was founded. So I got lucky enough. These are now retail stores, most of them downtown. And that's where my investigation research really started heavy in this town, is the downtown buildings, along with this historical society museum we have, which it's kind of cool because there's so many layers, and we're going to get to that tonight, I'm sure. But yeah, now they're
you can go wherever you want. Don't feel like you have to just answer the questions I asked. This is you. Talk.
I'm just thinking, and to myself, now they're antique stores. So what kind of, here we got all this energy and rivers crossing, and then you throw in antiques on top of all that energy. So it's no wonder we're one of the most haunted towns in America.
Yeah. And don't you do, I'm trying to think what you called it, on National Ghost Hunting Day, you were going to do?
Yeah, we did the 2018. We did an event with our first public event, Spirit Recon, at our historical society as part of the world's largest ghost hunt. That's
what it was. I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yep. we actually parlayed that into 2 events because we had so many people wanted to participate. So we got 2 events out of that, donated that money to the Historical Society to get some repairs on a roof done, and to keep investigating the whole time. So this year we weren't able to have that event this year because of I was sick in the fall. But we were able to we had an event in the spring to help out the Boy Scouts of America here locally, and we got $600 raised for new camping gear for the Boy Scouts this year.
That's awesome.
Which was a personal venture of mine after I heard about the shape of some of their gear. So we set out to do, we actually did the Lions Club building that they actually meet at. So we used the place where the Boy Scouts meet it was the event location. So it's pretty cool.
Right. And, honestly, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I don't want to ignore this either. For anybody who follows Fred or Spirit Recon, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the health issues that you've been having. And I was thinking, as you said, you did that about a year ago. That was in the heart of all of that, and you still were out there doing something huge for everybody. So,
well, I was lucky that my sickness hadn't really overcome me yet. I was feeling some remnants of it. Looking back, I wasn't quite myself, but I was lucky to. I was still going pretty well, but I'm glad I was putting out. I think karma comes in waves, and I believe you got to put out to, it's energy. I think we prove that every day when we paranormal investigate. It's a vibration and energy. So if you don't release the right energy yourself, you're not going to get back you're going to get what you deserve from the world. I kind of believe that.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm just trying, and it was, that was one of the areas that I know you and I kind of got to know each other better is when we were talking through all of that. And, while you were having your illness and dealing with everything, your attitude was amazing. It truly was. You kept your head up, you kept positive about things, and that's what, I was impressed. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is I was impressed, so.
Well, let me impress this upon the people that are listening and the people that are in this field, and that's who's going to probably be listening. I'm not the kind of guy in the days past before I started doing this stuff and started talking with this paranormal field and making these friends. In days of old, I would have never used Facebook. You would have never known. I would never look at my Facebook personally for those that can see it. I don't post a lot. I'm not real personal. I don't speak about a lot of things that are on my mind. I just keep to myself. I was pretty disheartened when I received the news that I had cancer, lung cancer, and I didn't exactly know how to react at first. But one thing that was assured to me from the start was I knew I needed to get on and tell everybody. And how weird is that? But I think it was because I needed that support and that I needed that I needed that circle of people right away to keep me guided, because I think I was afraid I was going to get, I knew myself well enough to know that there could be a rough road ahead if I went off on it by myself. So I right away did it live. I'll never forget it. And from that moment on, I felt attached to, I was so attached anyway, but it's like we all attached and rode this together. And I really think the power of spirit, people can call it, I'm not here, again, we're never going to be here to tell people how it is. We're not going to talk religion, really. It's just not, we may be able to teach you something, but we're not here teachers to tell you how it is. Everybody should keep an open mind and realize that we don't know everything. Yeah. But it took the power of people or prayer or thought or energy, however you want to look at it, because it can be construed as the same. That's what I really think got me through. And and a great medical team. But I don't know how I get to that point if I don't have everybody. So thank you, and thanks to everybody else. And I owe you guys everything.
You did a lot of it, Fred. I mean, a lot of that was all you. But I think, you had a lot of people behind you, and that's because of who you are, definitely. So, well, let's get into some of the typical ghost hunter questions. I know you asked me what I was going to ask you, and I said, who knows, we'll just wing it. But, you have that standard list of questions we kind of ask.
It's a paranormal show, yeah.
Right? Got to keep them entertained. So,
we're busy. We got lots to talk about, so yeah, let's talk.
We do, and it's just getting ramped back up. I was telling Shay before we got started that I feel like I've been kind of lazy. I just haven't been doing a whole lot the last few months, but I've got about another month where it's a little quieter, and then I'm back to every single weekend full. So I probably should not be complaining, but So let's start with of my normal questions I ask people. What is one of your favorite locations you've ever investigated?
I just answered. I guess Malvern Manor is a very cool place. That's where I got to see you again the second time. Mm-hmm. I know a lot. We talk about it a lot out in that. And you should talk about it a lot because it's a very cool place. And Josh is a great owner, and it comes with its own set of great people, and real people and spirits. So
definitely.
You got Chris and Ron and all those guys, and but then you got Gracie and the captain and all that stuff going on. So. That is one of my favorites. It really is one of my favorites. But we're so spoiled here. And I listen to different podcasts and different shows. And I was watching Adam Kimmel's on a live right before us here tonight. And he's the owner of Madison Seminary in Ohio. And really, we're so lucky because I don't own a haunted location. But because I'm in this town and have this access to these buildings and these hauntings, it really gives me a chance to deconstruct. That's the word of the night, really. Deconstruct these hauntings, and they become so personal when you deconstruct them.
Right.
I'm able to go in 30 times in a row and I don't have to. Thank God, don't have to drive. I got 2 blocks. But I can get an EVP. I can go tomorrow and ask a question and read, and I can continue this banter and ask these questions and learn and deconstruct these hauntings. So forever in a day, it's never going to change. Wilmington, Illinois is my favorite haunt and always will be. This town, I love the hauntings. I've spent way too much time deconstructing these hauntings, and that's where they get personal. And so and to me, life is personal, so if I'm going to spend my time doing something, it's personal. So not that I don't like other places and Mineral Springs, and I got to go to St. Albans Sanitarium, which is pretty cool, sanatorium, whatever. But it's never going to be my favorite haunt. This town right here is going to be my favorite haunt. So.
Now, you've actually picked up like a special little friend from one of your locations there in Wilmington, right?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable talking about that?
Yeah. We're talking about Rose, my friend that I shared. And I think what's weird is, and I really haven't released this totally. And
if you're not,
no, it's all good. No, it's all good. It's continued. That's what's so cool is that and I'm not saying I wouldn't drive every weekend to go somewhere. I'm just saying it's different from us, a little different than other people. We're actually I'm living in a haunted city or a haunted town. And there's certain times when I'm able to get in those, I believe it's layered hauntings. And when I can get in those layers of hauntings, I'm living it every day. So it's really crazy because the amount of information that we go through and the amount of theories we come up with and tear down and reconstruct a theory is amazing. And And I don't know that Rose Kangley was someone that was with me for at least a year, probably by my side as I did anything downtown here in Wilmington. And I'm not sure, ever since I returned from the hospital, I'm not 100% sure she's around anymore. And if she is around, she's changed her energy level or vocalness within the downtown's got many characters as far as spirits. And they change. It depends what layer you're in, who's got the most energy. I don't know if you've ever found that. Do you find that with some of your hauntings, the layers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can definitely depend. And I was thinking as you were saying that, it's interesting because I think that it can, I've noticed depending on what's going on with you can depend on the strength of that spirit as well, or how much they maybe choose to interact with you.
Right.
Mama Pat all the time, she'll be sitting at her house, and if we're talking about something that my grandma would have wanted been a part of, her grandfather clock that sits behind her chimes, and not like a chime, but the pendulum inside of it makes some sort of a little metal rattle. It's not running anymore.
Right.
It's not a clock that works, but we believe wholeheartedly that that's her little way of being part of that conversation. So yeah, people's energy can definitely increase. The spirit's energy can change through that, but and maybe, I don't know, maybe she was just there for you because you needed that extra strength right then,
Right.
Definitely. All right, so a couple questions from chat while we're going. So Mama Pat wants to know, are you strictly scientific or do you utilize the psychic aspects of investigating? Love that question, Mom.
That's a great question, Mama Pat. We were lucky enough, to be honest with you, when I started investigating, I had seen, some of the shows used a little bit of psychic medium that I'd watched on TV, but not really.
Right.
Really, I hadn't seen that usage, and we got involved with the world's largest ghost hunt pretty quick. I investigated Wilmington like about 9 months before we got into that. So I had about 9 months on the downtown, or a year. So I get signed up, and she says, okay. And then she says, okay, you got to have a medium. And I'm like, okay, well, where do I get one of those?
She said you had to have a medium?
Well, she wanted our team. It was part of the, and I shouldn't. She's Maria Schmidt runs that.
No, and it's fine.
I shouldn't have said it like that, but yeah, it was part of the. It's what they were looking for, so that we could have that psychic connection also at these locations. So
don't get me wrong. I think that's a huge thing. It
was part of the package, and I guess I just didn't see all that. I'm saying? I hurried up and signed up and everything. So she says, "Hey, we need to have a light worker, basically," and that's what she called it. And she said, "Here's this lady, Mary Marshall from Chicago. I got you set up with somebody in your own area." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" So Mary ends up being my dearest friend. So I pull up her website, and she calls herself the Paranormal MD, and she teaches classes. She's actually one of the only college course class teachers on paranormal studies that I know, which is crazy. But I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna think we're idiots down here, I was like, I'm no way. I was scared to death. And then her being a little bit of a medium, obviously, she knew I was scared to death to call her. So we were playing this messenger game, and I'm blowing her off like I'm trying to get around her, and the whole time she's seeing right through me. And she's like, it ain't no. And I'm like, oh, I just thought I'd be honest. I thought, you know what? I'm just scared to talk to you, to be honest with you. I'm scared that I don't know enough to hang with you, to do this with you, that you're just really gonna, I just wasn't ready for it. And I'm just so glad it was Mary Marshall, because she came down and visited us first time. That's when she sensed Rose the very first time, Rose Kangley, the spirit. What was funny was I was getting EVPs at the time. Kelly, I could go anywhere in downtown and I could say, "Will a woman speak with me?" And I'd either get a woman on EVP or on an ITC device. So it was like 90%. It was like this incredible number you should never have when it comes to this kind of data. And so she walks in and runs through the building like 10 minutes, and she's like, there's a woman here strong, and I think she's helping you out. She's following you around possibly. And I thought, oh my gosh, so I put two together right away. But Mary taught me so much about, and that's what we're talking about, deconstructing these layers and how intense that gets. But that's where your knowledge of the culture, of the spirit, the time period you're in, the culture, all that comes into play when you're trying to deconstruct a haunting and figure out what's going on. And we wouldn't be as far as we are right now if it wasn't for Mary Marshall.
That's awesome, though.
It is, and it really taught me how to work with. So now, Mama Pat, we've utilized a couple young ladies. I'm trying to find the right fit. I've had remote viewers work with us. I've had, we use it as any other piece of investigation we would. We give it the same weight. We go about debunking it the same way. It's simply another tool. It just happens to be a human tool, which does mean something. I do weight that a little bit more, I guess, to be honest, a human over a machine, but we still do the work.
Well, and I think you have to. I mean, just because I can go into a location and communicate with the spirits and provide that feedback to people doesn't mean that we shouldn't still try to gather that data as well to back that up. I think that's super important to have both sides of it. So,
well, 90% of the time, it just validates you anyway. I've been working with Jen Ritter, my friend and teammate, for a couple months now, and to be able to validate a young woman with some of her first validation for things that she's been seeing for years and years before she ever met me, that's an incredible feeling, and it gives me good pride to do that. But maybe that's my calling. But definitely part of what we do. Kelly's a tool.
Yeah.
I didn't call it a tool.
No, I've been referred to as a tool quite often, but it's true. I mean, it is. I've said, I mean, and we've had this conversation how many times, Fred? I think if you want that full, rounded investigation where you're getting the whole story, you have to have both the science and the psychic side of it, because neither one is going to be able to get that full story. And like you were just saying, it backs it up. It adds validation, not just to the sensitive that you have with you, but also to the tools. Because if we walk into a location and we say, and I go back to Malvern all the time because it's just so clear. If I'm like, hey, there's a new spirit here, his name is Jeff, and they've been getting that through the communication devices and through other teams, that validates both sides of us. So, super thing. And I think one of the things that I respected about you and that kind of brought us together is you asked a lot of questions. It's you even though what you were asking about was maybe more of the woo-woo side of things, you were still approaching it with somewhat of a scientific mind and saying, well, how does this work? What do you think of this? And I just think that's good to be able to think about those things. Yeah. Well,
like I said, we're seekers of the answers. It's very personal. Everybody that I've worked with on Spirit Recon, this is a personal quest. That's what makes it so personal. There's people that aren't on the team, maybe that want to be on the team, and then that's, this is a personal, this is a personal venture. And when you realize that it's personal, then you decide to do it your way. And for everybody involved, and that's what I love about my team and the people I put on the ground. We do it our way. Jake investigates his way. I don't tell him what to do. Jen, I'm there for her, but I'm not telling her, oh no, that's not what a medium does. You do this and that. You just be you. You be you, and then that's where I'm good at. I'm a good manager. I can tell people. I can tell by my investigator's body language and reaction what's going on in the location. And I think a good lead investigator should be able to.
Definitely.
So.
All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say another question from chat. Shay is asking, what's your favorite device or technique when you're investigating?
You know, I saw some comments on Facebook today on another post putting down all spirit boxes and ITC communication, basically saying that it's all junk.
Well, they're getting some pretty hot reviews right at the moment because of the whole Kobe Bryant thing, which... Yeah,
I understand.
I get that gets people fired up.
You probably saw that same post, and I think it was on that post.
Probably.
The thing with the spirit box, I'm 60 miles from Chicago. We get one radio station, if any, and I'm inside a building that's first of all underneath a cell tower, and then it's got 19 inches of limestone like encased around it. Anybody that's been to our location knows that there is no radio stations being picked up. So with our spirit box, we get a very good communication. We get very solid communication. You can hear the vocal tones. It's just not words. We get that vocal tone. And, you know, that's what I was going to ask about a medium, too, and always trying to keep a medium in check. Sometimes I think these spirits are messing with us. Do they take on voices of others? Are you seeing them as people that they really aren't? It's quite possible, and you know that, Kelly. That's why we all got to stay grounded. But sometimes I believe I'm actually hearing the actual vocal voices of deceased. And to me, that's amazing to be able to hold conversation with them and hear their voice. So that's by far my favorite. Definitely. When you can feel them, when you're sitting in a location by yourself or with your team, and you're sitting there and you're you can feel it. You can see the other activity around you. You can see the lights like we do sometimes. You can feel the cold spots, and then you hear the voices. It's pretty darn amazing.
It is pretty cool. Now, when you say spirit box,
SB7.
An actual SB. I was going to ask you which version you use. So.
Yeah, I use an SB7. I use Necrophonic too. I do use Necrophonic or Spiritus app. As you know, we both believe in Keith Weldon's apps. And we used Phasma Box the other night, which was a download that very interesting.
Yes, I saw that the first time actually when I was out investigating with Dustin and Dustin Perry.
Yep.
And he was using that, and it was pretty phenomenal. It was, and I liked it kind of for the same reasons that that I like the Spiritus, but it's clearer than I think the Spiritus was. But yeah, it was that same situation of I can hear them talking and I can hear them answering through Phasmabox. And so, yeah, I've got to just figure out which one of my tablets that I have that I can make that run on. But
we were using Phasmabox. Now, you can hook the Phasmabox up to Wi-Fi. Now, we did not. I did not even give the girl the girl that brought it down was from Holly Miner, a friend of mine, drove 2.5 hours to hear me talk at the library, and then I took her on an impromptu investigation at the Historical Society since she did that. So she didn't even know the Wi-Fi password, so there's no way she was hooked on it. But we were getting K2 strikes from the girl that was sitting right in front of the computer, basically, at the same time the words were coming through. Now, I've done that before with SB7 and the K2. And Melmeter, actually 3 devices, but I'd never seen a Phasmabox in use on a laptop, but to see the strikes coming through as it was speaking, it was pretty cool.
That sounds cool. I want to get that one. I definitely want to get that one.
I would suggest looking into it.
I was going to ask you something when you were saying, and my brain hiccuped. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it will come back up. It'll pop back into my head. So if I randomly shout out a weird question at you, it's because I remembered what it was I was going to ask you.
That's my fault for talking.
No, really? That's what this is about. You're supposed to be talking. No, it's just my brain squirrels a million miles a minute. So, I think there was another question. What has been your favorite? Rebecca is asking, what has been your favorite investigation that you've done so far? And I know we've talked about where is your favorite,
right.
But what was your favorite investigation? And I'm going to expand on that and say, why is it your favorite?
Gosh, guys, I hate
like
that
as far as
phrase.
experience too.
It's a good question, Rebecca. Because there's a couple reasons they'd be favorite. First of all, going out to Malvern and investigating with those people is fun. I mean, it's fun even if you don't get to spook out, the crap out of which you're bound to get.
You're bound to have something happen.
Yeah, go to Hank's room. If nothing's happening, go to Hank's room, or I don't know, go to the attic then. But there's a love for the people. We had a crowd the very first time. The people we've met and investigated at Malvern is one of my favorite places to hook up with people, I'd say. Favorite investigation that I've done. That's tough. Really, it just goes back to those personal experiences with our small team. That's really what it's about for us. That's where I can clearly understand the answers to my paranormal questions, and that's what this is about for me. So it's still the local haunts is always going to be my favorite investigation.
What would you say is your best piece of data that you've ever gathered?
Well, that's interesting. That can a lot of people look at that one either way. We have captured 2 different pieces at the library down here, which is another one of the local haunted buildings that's right in that mix. It's just a couple blocks from the downtown, and only a couple blocks from me. 2 things in there, and I know Shay don't want to talk about orbs, and I won't talk about them too much. But this is actually one of the things, and I don't put a lot of orbs up. I do question some things. We do have some orb activity in this town. We got some other activity too. We see mists and other things. But we captured this orb that appears to, and if anybody's ever watched Paranormal Lockdown with Nick Groff and Katrina Weidman, they had filmed this. I've seen it only one other time. They've filmed something similar at Bobby Mackey's. And basically, this orb manifests in the library, and then it holds still. It actually sits in midair, sits still. It goes back away from the camera and then comes back, and it sits there. And then you can see it like an inchworm. I use the word undulate, and I don't know if that's a word, but it actually goes upward to an angle like an inchworm. It like crawls up. Then it falls and dissipates. I don't know exactly what it is, but out of all the videos and I've ever seen and debunked everything, it's a crazy piece of footage. In the same attic, we caught this white mist flashing by that looks like it's running away from the camera. The cool part about it is, as it went by this little bookcase, it left a shadow on the bookcase. So it shadowed the bookcase and then turns into a white mist as it crosses this black opening of space. So the background's changed and you see the object change. So pretty cool. Those are 2 pretty cool pieces of data that are kind of questionable about, what are those? Blend right to the paranormal, the stuff I've never been able to see before.
That's very cool. I know the clip you're talking about from Nick, too. He showed that at Paracon I was out with him. It's
Did you?
Very awesome.
Yeah, and I actually caught mine first. Mine was caught before his season, and and I couldn't believe it when I saw him because I thought, oh, my God, what the heck? But, yeah, those are 2 crazy things. We get so many intelligent answers on Spirit Box. It's unbelievable. So that part's always cool.
So question for you. Because I know that, like, you and I at least have been on several public investigations together at the theater and Malvern and stuff like that.
Okay.
How do you feel when you're at these public investigations with how people are responding to some of the experiences they're having or things that they're seeing? Do you think that people are getting a real grasp for what paranormal investigating is?
No, not at all. At least not to what I think paranormal investigating is. I have words for those gatherings. I can't really say it. I won't say it out loud, but I love them, though. You got to understand, I'd love, when we went to the theater, and I kind of forgot about the Egyptian theater up in DeKalb.
That was such a cool place.
That was such a cool place. And again, I'm up there with you and Chris Nelson, Denise Pridemore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these fabulous people, and I had met some other people earlier in the day during the con. So I made like 6 new friends that day, or 5 new friends. It's an awesome day, but did I really get to sit down and have those paranormal experiences that at the end of the day are personal to me, that I'm trying to answer my questions? And the answer is no. I would have to go rent those out and do my own kind of investigation to get my own kind of answers. And you're not going to get that done on a public investigation.
And that one was a little difficult. I mean, it was super cool, and I'm glad that we went. But it was a little difficult just because, with it being a theater, the acoustics of the place made it really tough. Terrible. But it was so cool. It was still a neat old theater, and it was fun. Right. I mean, you and Chris and I hung out most of the night. We had a good time.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not saying you can't get evidence on these public hunts like Malvern Manor. I know those people. People know the spirits. They're able to go off into the back room. They're able to get those EVPs and make those interactions, and that's grand. And I'm not saying I couldn't do that, and I do that sometimes. But it's just a different kind of investigation than what the situation that Spirit Recon, like I said, with our own little haunted town here in Wilmington, that lends to this research that we do. This. I got my desktop. I have Ancestry.com open. I have a whole notebook over here. I've now added 94 people to this woman that we're having a haunting at the Historical Society. I'm looking for something, just trying to deconstruct this haunting and see if they're, we found that her name didn't make it over to she got buried over here at the local cemetery, but her name didn't even get in the interment book. Just the first name. Somebody didn't know how to spell her last name, and it's not in there. Then there's no marker on the grave. So all we have is an area that she's at and like a half of a name on that date. So we're in the midst of getting that interment book fixed and then getting maybe a marker, at least getting her located out there. So these are deep. Like I said, when it gets that personal, that's a whole different. I am lucky enough to be living with the hauntings, to be honest with you. That's the best way to put it. It's my day-to-day routine. I'm living in the layers of these hauntings in Wilmington, Illinois.
And I think it's so important to have people like you and me and a lot of the people that we know out there. And this was kind of where I was going to, I think, with the question I asked about the public investigations, is to have other people out there in the field and show people what it's like to paranormal investigate and to not have to how to debunk things, how to debunk things. And Mama Pat has a point in here too. Yep. She says, I think it depends on the purpose. Some investigations I see more as an entertainment event. Some are for advancing the field. I think both have their place. And some amateurs get experiences they wouldn't otherwise get. And there's so much truth to that because it gets them into places that they maybe wouldn't before. But I think it gives them that opportunity to get in there and investigate with people like you who can say, here's the tools, here's how they work, here's how we do it. Let's try this experiment,
And the funny thing is, I'm in there really just learning from Chris Nielsen and Denise Pridemore and people that have way more experience than me. So I'm just learning too. That's why I'm so quiet. You see me at Malvern. I was a little under the weather this time after my surgery, but I'm very quiet. I love Gracie's room. I didn't get in there and make personal contact like I wanted to, but first of all, there's so much activity. I learned so much. I know I talk a lot tonight, but I do know when to shut up and learn.
So on that note, I know you said in the grand scheme of things, you don't feel like you've been in the paranormal world a super long time. But who would you say, if you are looking at the paranormal field, and I'm going to put you on the spot again. So if you do look at the paranormal field, who would you say are the people that you look up to, and who would kind of be like your mentors?
Well, anybody that has respect for themselves and respect for their field. So people like Johnny Hauser. I like what Nick Groff has done. I like him as a person. I know he's got his TV show, and sometimes I don't know, but he seems to be that kind of guy, and I believe that he is that kind of guy. So those are some of the bigger names, and then I've got to work with you, and I've met Chris Sutton down at the Mineral Springs Hotel also, and I just try to take somebody, Mary Marshall. I mean, Mary Marshall has been such a big part of my life. I mean, the amount of, she's still running Open Theory, even though we're talking about the culture of our paranormal investigation of our time period and what kind of language or what the dress might have been or food, all that stuff. To help our investigations, she's also referencing, could this all be because of extraterrestrial? She's so intelligent that she's able to keep her mind open to bigger possibilities. And I think that's always the key is don't get yourself limited. Keep all your options open because we really don't know what's going on. So it's at least best to keep your mind open when you investigate like that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But I do like, how Johnny Hauser, like I said, Johnny Hauser, what a great guy, Johnny. So. Oh yeah. Yeah. He's very down to earth. He's very, and the funny thing about Johnny and even Josh, they both kind of fall into that same category. They are some of the funniest people I know. And I spend most of my time with them just laughing my fool head off. But when they start investigating, they're serious about it, and they know what they're doing. And there's a lot of respect that's earned by the way they do that. So, kind of, and I know you've kind of brushed on this a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and ask a couple combined questions from chat. And I know you can see chat, but I always repeat them just for the people who are listening back after the fact. You can't watch chat. But I always feel funny because when the people that I'm talking to are in chat and I'm reading it back to them, I always think they've got to be sitting on the other end of this thinking, what, does she think I'm stupid? No, we're making a show here, girl. We're making a show. It's for the people not watching chat. Right.
So Rebecca asked, what was the best public investigation you went on? And Mama Pat expanded on that saying, and what made it a good public investigation, in your opinion?
Well, I think St. Albans Sanatorium, I've left that one out. I talked about it a little bit. I went to Radford, Virginia. Again, one of the best things I've done because I hooked up. I got to meet the Twisted Paranormal. The
good people.
Yeah. Transcend Paranormal, Steve Dills and his crew, RVA Paranormal. I got to meet Tennessee Ray Chasers down there. I mean, my gosh. The booths, I got to investigate with Rachel and her husband. His name, which one? I can't. The brothers, but I can't remember which one it was now. Christopher.
Chris and Brennan.
Yeah. No, Christopher. Is it Booth? The Booth
Christopher
brothers.
St. Booth.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was going on the Wraith Chaser brothers. Sorry.
No.
Christopher St. Booth and
his wife Rachel.
I'm trying to think. There's another one. I can't think of it.
But we were up with them and Dan Porter in a room, had some pretty cool things going. So I just met so many people in that building itself, just the mountains. I think that had to do with being in the mountains, the amount of teams I met from the East Coast and what that's meant to me. And then the haunted location. That location is nuts for anybody that wants to know.
I have never been.
Oh, my God.
That is one of the places on my list that I want to get to. My list is huge, though.
It's got a crazy basement boiler room. It's got a crazy bowling alley. If you ever seen the, it's been on so many TV shows, but it's got a haunted bowling alley, and it's haunted.
Yeah. We'll have to set up a time to go investigate someplace again together.
It's beautiful.
Definitely. All right. I'm keeping flying through the questions here, I know, but we've already been on almost an hour, so
yeah, I know.
Keep moving. We have to ask Darren's question. Darren's not in chat tonight. He had some other things he had to do. But we can't not ask his question. So, what is the one object in the world that you would never want to be haunted? For you guys who can't see Fred right now, he is covering his face.
Oh, yeah. Damn, Darren. This is what I do when Darren asks other people the question, too, by the way.
Oh.
Every chat room I'm in, when he asks this question, I go like this. I cover up one side of my face. Oh, my God.
Because this answer can go so amazingly, oh, my gosh, I haven't thought of that, or it can go so very wrong.
Well, you wouldn't want there's so many things that you don't want to be haunted, to be honest with you. That maybe you ought to change the question around to what's the one thing you would want to be haunted? Because that's a little bit more intriguing. Because I can just Dan Class, I think last week or your last show said the car, right? His answer was the car. I think it'd be easier to come up with something.
But on the upside, and I was thinking about that after the fact. So he said he wouldn't want his car to be haunted. But what if you did? It'd be like autopilot. You could just say, "All right, Bob, drive me home. I'm going to take a nap."
Oh no. Oh no! You're never going to see me in a self-driving Tesla, girl.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do it. I'm too much of a control freak.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, can you imagine going down the highway 80 mile an hour and not having control of that thing?
No, no.
What happens? Your phone loses a call. What's going to happen when that car loses the call?
You hit a dead zone and you drop a call. Exactly. Yeah, you hit a dead zone and you're really dead.
Wi-Fi there, right off in the ditch, gone.
Takes on a whole new meaning for dead zone in that case, doesn't it? But on phone.
I'd have to wear a rubber helmet, or I'm not doing it. So I'll be dead before all that stuff comes into play. So.
Oh my gosh! Well,
take it.
I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be able to afford one anytime soon. So it's not.
I'm broke, so that's a good thing too. But
I forgot to buy a lottery ticket. Sorry.
I
was really hoping for that, like $393 million.
Powerball.
We'd go investigate everything. Yes.
Just shut it down, and
we would go investigate everything, Fred.
Right. Well, our hope is with the hope is with our historical society. Basically, it's a museum in transition, and it's really hard to pull off public events right now because we put in a new roof, we had new ceiling. Then we got a furnace upstairs, so we're under reconstruction. We're trying to get stuff out of storage and have it displayed in the museum like it should be properly done. But once that comes to fruition, I've talked to the administrators of this building. This is going to be a haunted location where people are going to come. We're going to open it up at some point. We're going to let the public come in here. It's not a huge building. But it's you can get 8 people, 10 people max, maybe, comfortably and still pull off some good investigation.
Sure.
And that's a decent sized team. So that's our hope. We talked about it just this week. So, I can't wait. The Joliet prison, they started it last year and then they quit doing it. They had some problems with it. And we actually jumped in and started before they did with our world's largest ghost hunt. So, nothing would make us more proud to help bring some support and money. That way, that historical society can take care of itself and can propagate itself with its own little ghost hunts, and this town's history will be preserved.
That would be awesome. If you guys get that set up, let me know. I'd love to come and see it. So
We will. You're welcome anyway. I just would love to get more people in, but I was going to tell anybody in chat, you're coming down 80 and 55. Come on, guys. I know that everybody knows where that's at in Chicago. 55 goes Chicago to St. Louis, and 80 we all know goes across the United States. So if you're coming across 80 or 55 and you're not shouting out to me in Spirit Recon and coming and seeing us, and then that's, it's all good. But, give us a shout out. Come in here. I'll get you. Ask Holly Miner. She came down here. We did 3 hours on a dime. I dropped everything. We did 3 hours at the Historical Society. So it was awesome. Come see me.
Trying to remember where it was I was going that I was chatting with you, and you're like, you're 10 miles from my house. I'm like, but I don't have time to stop.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I was going.
I don't know. I don't know if you were going to go to India. I don't know.
I was going to say, I think I might have been on my way to Indiana.
Right.
I think that might have been it. Was when I was heading out there to the Warsaw Paracon.
Well, 57's not far from us either, which is kind of a more a different road. Goes into southern Illinois from Chicago. But yeah, Rebecca, it's a cool town. It's like I said, it's a bunch of historical buildings. You've got the rivers. You've got the Native American history. I could go on and on. The limestone in the river's been documented. It's a very pure river because of that limestone. And then you've got these limestone buildings that I'm talking about, the Historical Society, the library, which are made out, they're built out of the limestone that's pulled right out of that river. Wilmington, Illinois, Rebecca. So it's just been a pleasure of mine to unearth this for everyone else.
Super cool. I may have to see where I have an open weekend and see if we can't head your direction and do some investigating.
Like I said, we're seriously like 12 minutes off of I-80. So if you're coming across I-80, I mean, you can, it's nowhere out of anybody's way. It's not like, I'll take an extra day out of your way. I mean, no, it's right here. So, hit me up, guys. I'd love for our friends we're at the point we can start sharing that with our friends. And like I said, our hope is to maybe be open. Maybe a year from now, the public will be able to investigate at that Historical Society here in Wilmington, Illinois.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Definitely. And Mama Pat was saying the historical aspect of investigations is my favorite part. And I know that Rebecca is a history nut as well. She's got the Cambry farm, and she has spent probably more hours than most people sitting in the Historical Society.
Right. That's one place I want to get to, too, and I really want to get out there, Rebecca. So I will. It's on my list this year, and that's not BS. Kelly knows. Kelly knows we've talked about it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I'm
a Midwest haunting kind of guy.
Is such, right? The history is such a huge aspect of any haunt, though, because, that lends credence to the experiences that you're getting too, and can back up the experiences that you're having, or give you a better idea of who it was that you were talking to. So, history is such a huge part of it.
I think it gets you to the true understanding of the haunting. You can look at a haunting, and we get a lot of repetitive stuff. I believe sometimes you say something and they'll repeat you. I think you just have playful things that happen, or people that want to lead you. I don't think everything that you get answered or get done. Obviously, you can't just ask them to do something, they do it. That's not the way this whole thing operates. So you have to take all your data. I use the word data there, Shay. You got to take all your data. You got to deconstruct that data, debunk it, then deconstruct it, and see what your actual haunting is. See what's going on. See what this person is trying to share with you or communicate. And then get to the real, cut out the people that just, hey, this guy, I said this, he said that. Well, he's just repeating you probably, where'd that voice come from? Have you ever heard that name before? Blah, blah. And, so you got to go through the stuff. I think that's where we all become the history buffs is, like you said, we're trying to validate it. And that's what we do. So.
I'm going to be the worst ghost when it comes to my time, though, because you were saying that they repeat things.
Right.
I'm going to be one of those people. Because can you imagine my attitude, if somebody's constantly coming in and saying, can you say this?
Yeah.
Can you say this? I'm going to answer it that way. Can you say this?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be a horrible ghost.
One of the greatest spirit box things we ever had on the SB7. So the SB7's running backwards on the FM dial. We're getting nothing but white noise, and I've got a young woman in the back. I'm watching her on camera, and she's trying to make contact with these male spirits all in this jail cell. And you can hear there's like 5 or 6 male spirits. She's trying to get their name. They're just like, blah, blah, blah. They're talking, I don't know what they're doing, but they're talking, and she can't quite catch it. And all these male spirits popping around, and she just keeps asking over and over again, you remember my name? You remember my name? What's my name? And finally, this woman spirit yells out of nowhere. It cuts through you can hear it, and it's Kim. She just screams it at the top of her lungs. It comes, and that spirit just got agitated. Exactly. That's enough of that. She had enough. But it goes to show you, it's interesting though, because that spirit wouldn't have made itself known in that atmosphere if it wouldn't have been triggered in that manner, right? So you would have never known you would have never known the power of that spirit because they wouldn't have utilized it. So it's just another part of the thing, but it's a cool story. Definitely.
All right. Well, we are at an hour already. Yep. So what I'm going to do is at the end of my shows, when I remember, I try to do a 1-card tarot reading just for everybody who's listening. It's just a general reading. When I get done with that, I'm going to come back to you and give you a chance just to tell people how they can find you and what events or any appearances or where you're going to be coming up. So be thinking about that while I do this. Okay, so while Fred was answering this last question and talking a little bit, I went ahead and shuffled and drew a card. And I am using my Moonology Oracle deck. It's one of my absolute favorites. And the card that I drew is the full moon in Gemini. And this is saying that this card is a reminder that it's important to speak your truth. But remember that your words have consequences and an impact to your listener. Right now, you need to guard against indiscretion. The answers you need may well come soon. The issue you're facing could be one or a few conversations away from being resolved. If you're inquiring about a love situation, a little flirting may be called for. If you're in the middle of an argument, this card comes to you as a reminder of the odd, very non-Gemini message. Least said, soonest mended. It's good to talk, but be careful you aren't causing yourself any issues with your words. Words have enormous power. As metaphysician Florence Scovel put it, your word is your wand. You create magic in your own reality every time you express yourself. I think that this card is coming up right now, and I've seen this a lot with a lot of people. There's just, there's a heightened level of energy out there right now, and I think that everybody is kind of having this heightened emotion and this combination of feeling drained and tired and just exhausted, but also agitated and edgy and a little snappy with people, This is just reminding everyone that, it is important to speak your truth, but you do have to remember that sometimes when you say something, you can't take that back, or sometimes maybe you're not thinking about what type of day the other person had when you snap back at them, and you need to be mindful of those things and make sure that you're not taking feelings that you may be having, whether they're anxious or sad or whatever the case may be, and expressing that onto somebody else who doesn't deserve it. I don't want to focus on just the negative side of this, but this is something, guys, that I know personally I have to work with. I can be very tired and I can be very short and blunt with people, and I have to watch that when I'm feeling that way, when my energy levels are low, that I don't jump back at other people and get a little snappy with them. So but it does also have to do with the positive side of communication too. So many things can be helped with having a conversation. Sometimes you don't know what an impact it can have just to reach out to somebody and say, hey, Brad, I was thinking about you today. Hope you're having a great day. Those little things can mean the world to people. So make sure that you're taking the communication on both sides of this. But Just be sure it's real. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever you say, mean it. That's the biggest message of this card tonight, I believe. So, all right. Freddie.
Very cool, yes.
Where are you going to be, my dear?
Really, to be honest with you, Kelly,
what do you got coming up?
As you know, I really have nothing planned right now. I'm at the end of, for those that don't know, I did have surgery and had cancer removed. And I did some chemo, and I'm done with that. So I'm looking for that clean bill of health and trying to get over some chemo side effects. So I don't like planning things I don't follow through on, so I don't have much planned. But we're super active. Our page is super active.
He's had some, I will stick up for him that he's also had some very aggressive people watching over his health that get on his hiney when he's doing too much or not taking the rest that he needs. So, not that I would know.
Yeah. No, I know. You guys, everybody keeps me in line, and I'm lucky that I picked back up. What's great is I got to get back here at the Historical Society in our town. Some things are going on. Follow our channel on Facebook, Spirit Recon. That's where you find us right now. All our other links are available right through there. But we right now are in the middle of, I'm actually getting phone calls every day. Yesterday I got a phone call or interviewed a woman, a young girl, about an apparition that she saw that was a shadow figure, and then she saw the arm of the guy stick out. The day before that was another one at another location. So we've got super amount of hauntings going on here, and it's just this is where, I mean, it's got my brain going. Luckily, I don't have to travel far, and I can stay off my feet a lot. So stay tuned to our page. That page is going to let us know on Facebook. Join our page, follow it, like it. That's the best place. I'm hopefully going to see you in June, maybe Haunted Road Media. I think that's the first decision I've made to go to. Did we lose her? I lost her. You're fine.
What happened to our Kelly?
I don't know. She's frozen on my screen, but she didn't like the idea of me coming to Haunted Road Media there.
She left. She'll call back. Give her a second. She didn't like the idea. That's funny.
Yeah. But anyway, just taking my time before I get back out there full speed. Make sure I got my health underneath me. Yeah, she ghosted on me, Rebecca.
Yeah, that's the most important. Your health is the most important thing.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm ready for this. I think we all know that in the paranormal community that you don't go on, you don't go out when you're sick or when you got emotional issues or different things. You want to be strong. You want to be your best self. Yeah, I'm not quite ready to travel yet, but I'll be back out there soon.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah, well, and I don't have to. I'm so lucky. I don't have to travel. I just continue to do my my paranormal show from right here.
That's right. When is Haunted Road's Paracon this year?
June 13th, I think.
13th,
I think,
okay.
13th, that's a date. Sorry, Mike, if that's not, but I think it is. And they've changed it to like a Friday night and a Saturday thing. So I'm going on this Saturday where we can investigate.
That's cool.
But yeah, stay tuned. We've been doing lives. I plan on having probably a live podcast on my end on maybe Sunday nights coming up soon. Again, just trying to get everything in order and make sure that health is 100%. But things are going on in the background. We are always working, and good. Rebecca's going.
Yay.
Cool. So, and I wouldn't miss Haunted Road. I mean, that's a heck of a Paracon down there. Chris Sutton, Kelly, Dan Class was there. Rebecca's going to be there this time. I mean, come on, man. It's a good place. Mike Rickensacker.
Yes.
And I think, we got the Southern Gypsies coming up too this time.
Oh, probably.
Oh no!
Yeah.
It's gonna be a riot.
It is. I love those girls.
Yeah, get your ticket early into that one.
Yeah, I wish I could go.
Mama Pat's gonna be there. Good.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I'm telling you, that's the party of the year, guys. If you don't get your tickets early, you're gonna be upset. Mark my words on this one. I don't say this too much.
Yeah.
I'm telling.
So it looks like Kelly lost her internet.
Yeah, she's down.
She cannot reconnect.
This is a payback. She's standing me up. This is payback.
Yeah, well, the technology is awesome until it's not. So, and I have Kelly will be back in 2 weeks from tonight, February 12th, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, with a live reading show. So everybody be sure to check that out. And Friday we have Holly Mullins from the Southern Gypsies on the show. And then I have Kelly back co-hosting for 2 whole months. I am so excited.
Wow.
Yeah. So it looks like we are not going to be able to add Kelly back. So I was just making sure she didn't want me to say anything else in the end. But awesome job as always, Kelly. And you, Fred. Great show.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So just hold on 1 second here and I'm going to end the show.
Awesome.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.